Howdy. In this video, I am making a gift for my kid's principal for Teacher Appreciation Day. First, I need to get my centipede workbench set up. I intended for this video to be 4K, but it ended up in 1080p. I had some technical difficulties. I will be making this gift out of maple and purple heart. First, I will be truing up one edge with my Bosh track saw. Here I am marking the boards to length a little bit longer than the final length of the panels. Here I am cross-cutting the boards to length a little bit longer than the final lengths, and I did all the thicknessing off camera. Here I am cutting the other sides parallel to the track saw cuts. These boards are for the center shelf. If you haven't seen this table saw fence before, it's called the Incra TS-LS table saw fence. Its accuracy and repeatability are its main features. It also has some other tricks up its sleeve. It works with my router table, which I will tell you a little bit more about later in the video. Truing up the opposite edges of the track saw cut on the maple boards, and then I flip them around and do extra work that I didn't need to do. The next step is to start cutting the maple boards to match the width of the design that I decided on. And with the magic of editing, I make multiple rip cuts look like one cut, almost. Getting all the boards lined up to see the design for the first time. Moving over to the centipede workbench to start the glue up on the first panel. This is the first time I've used the Rockler panel clamps. I had to fidget with them a bit to get them clamping correctly. The first panel was a bit of a struggle, but the rest of the panels were much easier. All the tools I have purchased with my own money. I am not sponsored by anybody. My apron was a gift from my wonderful sister-in-law. Taking the panel out of the clamps was much easier, and as you will see, the panel is very flat. One method of removing the dried squeeze-out glue is with a card scraper. Most of the rest of this video is sped up to make it as short as I could, with still showing you as much of the process as possible. In total, this project took anywhere from 10 to 12 hours to complete. Here is an up-close view of the panel's surface after removing the glue. Also, another view of how flat the panel is after glue up. Now trimming up one edge of each panel with the Harvey Compass ST1500 sliding table. Then I am going to turn the panels around and use the flip stop to cross-cut all the panels to final length. Now it's time to tip the table saw blade to rip the angles on the panels so that they can be glued into a hexagon. This took me over 20 minutes to do, and I did some practice cuts just to double check that my angles were correct. There is a saying that most people know that is, measure twice, cut once. For woodworkers on my level, it is measure as many times as you need to and sneak up on the cut. Here I am adjusting my table saw fence in 32nds of an inch increments until it is exactly where I want it. But this table saw fence can adjust in 0.002 of an inch increments, which sets it apart from a lot of others. Here I am checking the panels to make sure that I tip the table saw blade to the correct angle. There was a problem with one of these panels, but I was able to fix it. My son wanted to help, so I tasked him with some card scraping. In order to get the glue up really tight, I taped all the edges of the panel together. Here you can see that all the edges meet up correctly. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to record the glue up. I used ratchet straps for the glue ups as well as some circles that I had cut the appropriate angles into. Here I am showing you that all of the angles glued up correctly. Now a little more card scraping to clean up the glue squeeze out. Time to trim the shelf to size. I snuck up on the cut to get the best fit that I could. Next, I use my rabbet block plane to knock down the glue squeeze out on the ends of the panels. After that, I grabbed my belt sander and flushed up the ends with a 400 grit belt. I don't know what these pieces would be called, but the function of them is to hold the bottles in place so that they are evenly spaced and they don't roll around. First, I rip them to width, then I tip the table saw blade back to the correct angle to match the edges of the hexagon shape. Here I am trimming some pieces for the back of the hexagon shape so the bottles will not fall out of the back. I did some measuring and eyeballing to see where to drill the holes to hold the necks of the bottles. When I was satisfied with the spacing, I took the parts over to my drill press and drilled out the half holes with a Forster bit. Another reason I purchased the Incra TS-LS table saw fence is because it can be used with a router table fence with an attachment. With a combination of those two items, they can be used to make dovetails, double dovetails, as well as finger joints and double finger joints. If you haven't seen double dovetails, then check out my other video where I show you a box that I made for my mother-in-law. Here I am gluing in the shelf and the other pieces. After the glue is dried, I removed all the clamps and I cleaned up all the glue squeeze out and flushed up all of those parts. Here I am at the router table to round over all of the sharp edges. Did all the final sanding to remove the burn marks from the router bits. The finish I chose for this piece is called Odies oil. I like how it is easy to apply, I like the smell, and I like that it doesn't yellow the maple as some other finishes do. Drum roll, please. And now it's time for the glamour shot. Here you can see the chatoyance in the purple heart and the maple, as well as a little bit of curl in the maple. I would love to hear about your thoughts on this gift in the comments down below. And now on to the recipient. Whenever you see this or use this gift, please let it remind you that you are appreciated. Thank you for all of your hard work and your dedication to your job.